All right, it's Mosley Show. Scotty Swingler alongside, and we were in Baylor basketball. Scotty's had other shows on his plate today. I don't know how he pulled it off today because when I was watching that TV show, the other show Scotty produces is the Pete Souza show, and he looked like he was in a nice holiday sweater, nice looking sweater, doing some radio. I don't know, Scotty, and I thoroughly confused everybody. I'm glad I didn't tweet about this. I need to find out who was doing play-by-play on TV. It sounded like Derek to me, and John was not doing play-by-play, so JMO was doing color commentary, which I thought, well, that's interesting, that's different, and then I just assumed, I thought it sounded like Derek. Everything about it sounded like Derek, but it was not Derek, which is why I thoroughly confused Derek when I started texting him during the game today. So at some point, somebody will tell me who was calling that game. Somebody, by the way, if you're Twitter, Scotty always puts it out there on Twitter when we start premium Twitter. Scotty, that's the only problem. I did not, and you may be like me, I did not, I always liked in the old days when you had to earn the check mark, the blue check mark. I hate the ability to pay for the check mark. So I never did. But then you to get on what, Scotty, what you're part of and what I'm part of, to be able to do what we do on Twitter, which is like broadcast on Twitter, you've got to sign up for the blue check mark and you pay for the thing. And anyway, Scotty, I'm not doing well on, by the way, I think I've, you know how we're supposed to submit things and get reimbursed. I don't think I've ever done that. All right. But I appreciate Scotty was really having to walk me through that experience a few weeks ago. And since then, about a month ago or so, it's been great. Our numbers have blown up. There's a lot of excitement, lots of impressions, or I don't even know what that means. Impressions. That, to me, that means like when I try to do an impression of somebody, but whatever you call those things, we're doing well. And that's exciting. And we could not do it without all our great live listeners and the people that have signed up for the YouTube channel. And so far, Scotty, no boost, no, again, I wish someday, Scotty, come on here and walk me through what would happen if I hit the button that said promote or I hit the button that said boost, because I'm afraid it would hit me in the pocketbook. But surely Rogue would take care of that, obviously. You would think, if I ever thought to turn in expenses. Okay, Scotty. By the way, what about gas? What a year it's been. And well, Scotty, we finally came up for air last weekend. Think about that. Think about was it Saturday or Sunday? And we're sitting there, Scotty, just, man, finally, it's been a rough season for Baylor. We did all this pregame show, and for Scotty, for 7 or 8 home games, it was 3 hours of pregame. For us, it was 2 hours, but I mean, for basically like 12 straight weeks. And it was fun. We had fun with it, but it's like, oh my gosh, a day off. And then what happens on the so-called day off? Everything starts breaking. Oh my gosh, Baylor's going to have a new AD. Oh my goodness, here's when they're going to announce it. Here's how that's going to happen. And so everything broke out. Now, I admit, Scotty, that I kind of thought the way this would work is he would do the big hoo-ha Monday, Doug McNamee, and then, of course, when Baylor royalty comes into place, what's the first thing they need to do? They need to go be on the Mosley show, right? They need to go join up Mosley and Scotty and be on this platform, this large platform. And it hasn't happened yet. And I'm kind of like, okay, guys, what's going on? And I did, Doug and I were just talking today, and it will happen. It's very much on his radar. And they're kind of, he's got a lot on his plate and a lot to do. And I think one of the things is, and I get this. So they did the media blitz. He was at the game today. They're taking pictures of him. I think it's I mean, it's kind of funny, Scotty, if you think about it. It's like, and again, I'm so happy for Doug because he's a friend and all that kind of stuff. But that aside, Doug's getting the treatment that most times the head coaches get, like at all these places like Auburn and everywhere they hired coach, Arkansas, they go to the game, right? And then they get on the mic and then they do the blah, blah, blah. And the social media stuff goes crazy. Well, Baylor's doing that for its new AD. And like today, Baylor Athletics or something, Scotty, you'll have to look at, I can't remember if it's men's basketball Twitter site or Baylor Athletics, but it's like, this is what it means to, the first moments of and it's got Doug like rooting on the sideline. So I mean, again, I get it. Baylor should be excited, and it's a homegrown guy. I have kind of wondered, Scotty, once you get your man, it's like everybody's just like either on board or mad or whatever, and that's fine. That's fine. Again, I'm not mad at people who aren't on board. If they didn't like this hire or whatever, that's okay. It's okay. It's a safe space. I heard you call them yesterday, Scotty, like the negative Nancy's or something. I'm okay. This is a safe space for the negative Nancy's. That's okay. And by the way, the best way to get on this show, someday maybe we'll come up with a way you can like call in, because I kind of like the old school call in. But for now, you just sign up for YouTube, and then you've got this whole, if you're watching this thing live on YouTube, you can just like live. Now, they know I'm way too distracted, and I would not be able to function reading all your stuff. But Scotty's really good at that. So if you have thoughts, you can jump on there. But one of the things, since I'm trying to complete a thought for once, is that I was kind of wondering, okay, who finished second? Who else was in the mix? I had somebody out there, Scotty, tell me that like the Rice AD was a good candidate for the Baylor job. I don't know much. You can't say that I know much about the Rice. I didn't hear that name come up, but somebody did reach out to me and go, this was a really excellent candidate. Okay, that's fine. I do think President Livingstone did like Hunter Yurachek a lot. Okay, not saying, hey, she was head of the search committee, driving the bus on all this. So obviously she got to a place where she decided that Doug McNamee was the right way to go. But don't let everybody fool you. Hunter Yurachek, the Arkansas, and of course, if they'd have made that hire, Scotty, talk about negative Nancy's, you got all the Arkansas people that have been happy telling us this guy stinks, this guy's no good, blah, blah, blah. And then the Baylor people would be like, the Arkansas people don't like them. Why do we have? Now, that would have been, though, for the people that are like, this guy's been on about Doug. He's been gone for 8 years. Field and Stream, what's that? I thought what's that about? I think maybe they would have liked the fact that Yurachek has been around and been doing his thing. And has been in college athletics and all that. So I think Yurachek we were on to something there, because I threw that name out first and then everybody jumped on that deal, but which is fine. I don't, never like, give me credit. I mean, as long as you don't just completely rip it off. And even when you do that, I don't really get that mad. Nobody these days, we used to just like be in our world. And of course, there's still the Schefters and the Shams and all that. But in our world, in the old days, it's like the scoop was the biggest thing in the world. Now, the truth is, nobody cares. They care about getting the news, but then it's about like, okay, who is this? What is this like? Okay, what's Baylor going to do at defensive coordinator? What's they going to do at offensive coordinator? Now, Scotty, we have heard, let me catch you up on some of that. We have heard the rumors, and I understand why it happens, that could Spavital end up, TCU has an opening at offensive coordinator. Could Spavital end up there? I understand why people would think that. From my people kind of inside the building at TCU, that's not totally what they're hearing. Now, somebody got hired that we know, Scotty. Oh, Randy Clements got hired to go to South Carolina with Kendall. and be the offensive coordinator for Beamer at South Carolina. I love that. Matt Zenitz from On 3 or whatever he's on, or CBS is On 3. Maybe they're all together. But anyway, he was like listing all the Clements has been here, here, here. And I'm like, okay, we're really not going to say like what Clements is known for. Clements has been with Art since Art was like at Stephenville. Okay. I mean, Randy Clements is as attached to Art Briles as anyone, almost more than his own son, Kendall Briles. But Kendall is taking Randy. So he's getting some of the old gang together. Kendall, offensive coordinator, offensive line coach, Randy Clements. Known him. You've loved him. You've known about him forever. He's headed to South Carolina. And so some openings, the offensive coordinator opening. And so, but I do think Spavital, and again, I get it why you would maybe want to look somewhere else because the Baylor is in major lame duck mode. Doesn't mean they don't have some great coaches. I mean, I do feel good right now, at least about Paul Gonzalez, who might have been the one defensive coach this year that his group kind of hung in there and did okay at cornerback. Paul Gonzalez, at least for now, I'm hearing, I mean, honestly, it would be so awesome if they would go bring in Gary Patterson. The problem is he's already been brought in as a consultant, and for whatever reason, it didn't work. And I think probably one of the reasons it didn't work is Gary's a huge personality. The players and everybody are going to gravitate to him. And it's hard if Dave Aranda has a philosophy. And again, at some point, people thought his philosophy was pretty good. He was the defensive coordinator at Wisconsin. At LSU, everybody in the world wanted to hire him as a defensive guy. So you had Dave over here. You got Gary, who wants to do it one way, and maybe Gary was teaching things in a little different manner than Dave wanted. I don't exactly know what happened there. When it blew up, I do remember having Gary on, and he shed some light on it, but I don't know if we ever found out the whole story there. But remember, there's two coaches on this Baylor staff that are Patterson guys. Now, the problem with bringing in Gary is that Gary has such a presence about him that he's more like a head coach than really anybody that would be on that staff. So that would have to be a Dave thing, getting comfortable with bringing Gary in as a defensive coordinator. I think Hugh Freeze considered bringing in Gary Patterson as defensive coordinator at Auburn at one point. I don't know if that's when he first got the job or when that was happening, but they just had a bit of a philosophical difference. And for our big, X's and O's gurus out there, some of you guys know that. Gary, and you go, well, why are we listening to Mosley on Gary Patterson? Well, it's because Gary and I are good friends, and Gary comes on with me anytime I need him. So, I mean, I would just say, I think my credentials when it comes to talking about Gary Patterson and the people who've coached under him are pretty good. Gary does something. There's in coaching parlance, there's a term called match corners, and it's what you do with your cornerbacks and safeties, but it's how you line up your corners across the field, and it kind of has to do with like dividing up. You hear people say we play quarters. Well, that means different quarters of the football field. And so Gary has the ability to line up his DBs in a way that they're matching up with the receivers, but there's also some zone concept that comes in. I mean, I know Scotty's sitting back there like, you go, Coach Mosley. You tell them about how this. But again, I don't try to get into all that too much. You don't come here for your X's and O's. Mosley's going to take you through the history of. But these concepts that Gary got really good were a lot of this came to match up with the Mike Leach, Air Raid, Jake Spavital, Dalen Holgerson, Paul Mummy, whoever you want to bring up. Art Briles to a certain extent, like the air raid type, that passing game, the spread formations that came up for, oh my gosh, not only Hal Mumby, but Mouse Davis and all those people. Maybe even give John Jenkins some credit back at U of H. But run and shoot was what they ran. But it was defenses that were designed to best go against those kinds of offense. Because at some point, everybody started. I mean, like even Alabama, even I hear somebody go, I'm pro, we got to run the ball. We got to run it like SEC. Well, even the great Saban realized he had to change his offensive approach and with the spread and with as many plays were being run and how to defend that, he had to change up. And that was where Sark and Lane, Kiffin, and all the guys he's kind of leaned on from a play calling standpoint over the years. Even Dayball came in and helped with that. So I think you would go Mosley. So what do you tell us? Who's coming in? Now, I will say I'm like a lot of you that are reading the message boards, and hey, I'm on Sick'em 365, and I'm a paying deal. Back in the day, I kind of was on the ground floor of that and was at least visiting with the guys at the very start of that about kind of being involved really from the ground floor. Now, I didn't end up doing that, but I've always had great relationships with those guys. And I like what they do, and I like some of the stuff, and I like how plugged in Colt and Ashley and Grayson and my man S11 over there, Sam Bradshaw. Sam's, Sam. It's so funny to me, and I like the young Will and who's my Levi. I love Levi's a great baseball guy. I think he's getting a little tired of some baseball stuff, but he's done some really good work on football this year. And Levi jumps in there and will do some hoops coverage, but really, really good guys over there. But yes, I'm like some of you. I like to get on there, but on top of kind of reading that, then I get out there and like Scotty does, and we work our phones, we work our sources, and I think a lot of us were interested that suddenly we realized that and this was a coach that I had interest in because he was at University of Buffalo and he played at Baylor. His name's Mo Linguist and Maurice Linguist to be exact, but they call him Mo. He was at Buffalo. Now he's at Alabama as like the co-defensive coordinator. He's a really talented coach. It's kind of like that other guy that he may have played with. I'm trying to think of when Linguist was there, but Newberry, the coach at Navy, I love that guy. I mean, I think some of those Naval Academy coaches like Monken at Army, and you'll see the Army-Navy game this week, and you'll know what I'm talking about. They're more creative than ever, and they get it done with less than most schools, and they strap it on and go play a lot of these schools very tough. I mean, you get to the end of the season, you go, oh, what's old Newberry's? What did he finish up this year? Oh, 9-3, 10-2. Oh, really? Well, who'd he play? Well, some of these other teams like South Florida and Tulane and all these coaches that everybody's hiring, he's playing, beating some of those teams. So it's always interesting. Eric Morris, Eric Morris is lining up trying to beat Navy. And so anyway, these are some of the coaches out there. But this Linguist is of interest. He'd be a great hire. The problem is, you got to pay these guys a lot to leave a great job to come to what amounts to kind of a lame duck situation. Now, if Dave Aranda and whatever staff he's able to piece together come out firing with Keenan and the rest of them and Dallas Baker, and they come out firing next year and they go 9-3 or 8-4 or 10-2, then it's like, well, let's keep Dave. Let's just keep on status quo. Dave's signed up through 2029 or 30 anyway. So that would be great. That would be great. I know people are sick of him and they want him gone. Do I understand that? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Did I think it was time to move on? Absolutely. But I said that during the 2023 season. All right, which again, even then was not stepping out on a limb. It was a pretty easy thing to see. I had a conversation with Mac late in that 2023 season, and it really led me to believe, and I can't remember if it was via text or, and it was not on air. It was just the two of us talking. And it just looked like for all the world that he was going to have to move on. And they ended up staying with Dave on, he's going to keep these DBs. He's going to keep these guys here. We love him. All these people love him. I think he needs another chance. We're going to get all this NIL money. I mean, they've given him every possible chance in the world. So, again, by most measures, at most Power 4 teams, like if Dave had have done what Matt Wells did, who's now at Kansas State, if Dave had have done at Baylor what Matt Wells did at Tech, Dave would have been like a made man. And unfortunately, Tech, I just kind of at the time, I can't even remember, but they got real disgruntled and whatever. They moved on. And then, of course, the money train came, and it was enormous money. And Joey's done really well there. Well, when Joey took over, I mean, they went, I don't know, they were fine, but it was like 7-5, 8-4, 8-5. I mean, let's not act like he took over and they immediately went to the CFP, but the money train came in. He runs a tight ship in terms of how they construct things. And James Blanchard, who came from Baylor, has done an incredible job in personnel. Hey, I get it. Everybody said, well, they got all the money. I mean, with that money, I could be successful. Maybe. But you do have to go get the right people. And all these pass rushers, like I just looked at the mock draft, and David Bailey, who they brought in and to play, and then they got pass rushers. The thing they did is what Dave Aranda wants to do, and that's build that defensive line, get great. Which is funny because you would think Tech, if you were thinking like old Tech, you'd go, okay, let's go find some receivers and a quarterback and some running backs. And let's just load up because we are an offensive team. But what happened is Tech hired that guy from Houston, and they've gotten really good on defense. And they knew they were getting better on defense. And so let's get a lead on defense. Well, you go, well, okay. Well, they probably allotted $10 million to like unbelievable defensive players, to the point where this David Bailey, Scotty, if I get that name wrong or one of those Tech name wrongs, you holler at me. But I just looked on the mock draft today, and he's going 6th, number 6, top 10. Now, even from the past, whether it be Matt Wells or Joey or whoever, they did have some edge rushers and guys that were going like top 10, top 15 in the draft. So let's not act like, oh, Tech's never had a great defensive player. They have, okay? Don't want anybody coming after me saying, oh, Tech didn't have a good defender. I can take you all the way back to Senor Smoke or Senor Sack, the great Gabe Rivera. Joey will be on with me Friday. All right. And I know that makes a lot of people feel a lot of different ways. A lot of Baylor people, it makes them mad. It may even make the Baylor administration, why does Mosley have to have Joey on, rub it in our faces? Obviously, Mac could have hired Joey. He did not. He hired Dave Aranda. I know why he did. We're not going to get all the way back into that. At the time, honestly, it probably seemed like, for just keeping everything together and how great 2019, Joey would have been like keep everything. And again, we never know. What would the money have been like? What would the NIL like? What would Joey have done at Baylor? People go, well, he's been better than Dave. Maybe. They did win a 2021 championship. Would Joey have won that? Maybe. I don't know. Joey had great relationships with Petrie and all those defensive players, all those great defensive players. Joey was the guy behind the whole take 3 concept and pushing that. And when Joey and Rule and all of them got great in 2019, Lynch and who was our big man in the middle, Scotty? who was the huge? They had one big nose tackle who was a load. He was good, and they had the guy from Ennis at defensive end, and they had James Lynch. They have 2 Lynches on that team, on that defensive line. Anyway, they had the guy that went on to the Vikings, and then they had the big man from Ennis on one side, and then in the middle was just this monster. I love that kid. And then the NFL scouts used to say he's a garbage can full of sand, meaning he was immovable. He was an immovable force in the middle. I like that old 2019 line they ran. They ran a 3-4 under Phil Snow. Whatever happened to Phil Snow? Get Phil Snow back over here. Is Phil Snow still doing anything? They just fired their defensive coordinator at Nebraska. Can we get Phil Snow back in here? And I love the late, great offensive line coach that came with Matt. Now, that was a fun staff. I learned a lot from that staff because George was awesome. George, what was old George's name? A real old guy, but dang, was he a good O-line coach. Matt did a good job of he'd been an O-line coach in the NFL. Matt had an interesting staff, but Joey has taken the best traits, the best things from that he got from Rule, added his own stuff, took Lynch from Baylor, and then added Cody Campbell's billions. And you have a recipe for success. So it's been interesting to watch. And you'd like to be like, come on, guys, come on back home. Brian Nance, we miss you, buddy. Come on back home. Come on back home. Baylor's going to have to do some different things. I do think Baylor's going to get a little bit more creative at that GM position. I know, Scotty, that's something you and I have talked about. I'm going to keep checking in on a lot of these different things. But let's just let me kind of circle back around to stuff here. The Spavital to TCU thing, I'm just saying, I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm just saying, I think that's more speculation than really hard truth or fact right now. And I think I noticed my man Colt Barber agreed with me on that front. And that's what I'm hearing as well. Always love that Mo Linguist name. I mean, get him in here immediately. That'd be a lot of fun. He's been a head coach. He's a Baylor guy. I mean, we're in that mode right now of Baylor guys. Let's bring in the Baylor people. People are going to get sick of that. They're going to say, hey, can we get somebody from the outside? But, but again, I'm at the point where I'm just like, let's let this thing go. Now, Scotty, come on here with me real quick. We need to take a break here in a second, obviously. Thank you, C&B, by the way. I've been talking to Fondle, talked to Joe yesterday. Joe, talking about the Nesbitt family, some of the titans of the industry, the president, the CEO of that bank over there. It is nice, Scotty, and I know you probably have accounts at different places and maybe China Spring out that direction. You like to support local, but C&B, we're just so proud of our association with them. Now, Scotty, today, the latest portal departure appears to be DJ Coleman. Now, we cannot act shocked at each of these like, oh my gosh, Baylor's losing players. We knew it. I want to be careful here, though, Scotty, because I'm seeing people on Sikkim and otherwhere kind of try to refer to this as like, oh, dead weight. Okay, first of all, at some point, we're excited about a lot of these players. And that guy can play, this DJ Coleman. So whatever y'all might call dead weight, he's going to surface somewhere at like Louisville or Michigan State or Michigan, wherever. And we'll look up here in about a year and go, oh, gosh, I guess somebody else kind of liked old DJ Coleman. So, Scotty, I think all of this is inevitable, all of these departures. And some of them will be people that were like, dang it, I kind of liked him. But that's just part of the deal. I think what people are going to have to understand and accept is that, Scotty, this number could go. One of the things we used to brag about a little bit with Aranda is like, well, they love Dave, and we lose fewer players than anybody. And we thought that was a great thing. And it comes to find out, we probably needed to be losing more players than we did. That's kind of what I'm thinking. And Scotty, this group right now, I think we're going to lose a lot. And that's okay. I mean, what do? You go 5-7. Are you like, oh my Lord, we're losing all these great players? We're already losing all these great receivers and a great quarterback anyway, just to graduation or eligibility. So anyway, Scotty, I think, but it's interesting, isn't it, to kind of watch the drip, and then it's going to get steadier and steadier of these departures.
Yeah, there's going to be several guys that go, and it will be interesting to kind of read whether it ever officially comes out or we get some insider information from Ashley or somebody. Interesting to see who leaves of their own accord and who didn't get a raise and thinks they can make more money. I'm going to push back on you a little bit, Matt. We spent all season talking about DJ Coleman, but what has he contributed to the football program? You know, like I can kind of understand why people have reacted the way they did. And your best ability is your availability, and he was hardly available this season. So, you know, I feel like
I liked him when he was out there, and I thought he was actually a playmaker. I'd have to look back on how many games he missed. That's interesting. I did not necessarily, when I saw his name pop up, I didn't really think of him as like a, you know, when I think of those guys, it's like Carl and those people that were never available. I thought DJ was out there and actually made plays. And of course, nobody got takeaways on this team. But I thought if anybody was going to separate you from the ball, I kind of thought it was DJ, really.
I mean, I don't know. I can't recall a single play he made all season. I can think of plays Kendrick Simpkins made, certainly Jacob Redding, Keaton Thomas, Matthew Fobbs White. Like there's some guys on this team I wouldn't want to lose. Jacob Redding and Keaton Thomas and probably Fobbs White at the top of the list. But you know, we're gonna have to figure out, and I mean, he's got a season. Like he's got a season to figure out. With this Aranda staff, if it's talent evaluation or talent development, because what we have seen is a lot of these guys transfer out after one phenomenal year that they can't replicate. And I wonder how that happens under this coaching staff. I'm thinking of Richard Reese plays for Stephen F. Austin now. Looked like dynamite shot out of a cannon as a freshman, and then we couldn't figure out how to utilize him after that. There was another defensive player that transferred out with kind of a similar deal. I mean, think about Caden Jenkins freshman year versus, you know, being asked to leave. Think about
you're talking about player development. You're talking about player development.
Well, sure, but that's my point. Like
some of those freshmen.
Keaton Thomas might have taken a step back this year. I mean, DJ Coleman, like, I feel like he's representative. We've talked about how talented he is, and it hasn't really shown on tape. And so again, I don't know if that's evaluation or development.
That's maybe how bad the defense was that I think of him actually as a pretty talented guy that I would like to keep around. But I think they had some corners that played better this year. Now some of these guys, Scotty, don't have any eligibility left. I don't think. Did they not? Does Keaton have? I don't know if Keaton. I think
Keaton's got a year left. Keaton's got a year left.
Okay. I was trying to remember who celebrated Senior Day, and I thought Keaton was out there. Anyway, you know, the other one that they were talking about today was Jackie, and that was going to be one of the faces of the defense. And honestly, he was banged up. Too much was expected of him. He had no help. They had no depth at nose tackle. They let Lands play defensive end. He'd played nose tackle in the past. It was, and see, that's where it gets interesting, is because, there's some people who try to make the argument, oh, they had the talent. But this staff, what I'm hearing from this staff right now is that they were undermanned and underfunded. And then the people that I think the coaches in the future, what you got to have people saying, you know what? It's kind of what Doug McNamee was talking about the other day. Let's lean into what we do have rather than what we don't have. But I do think these coaches felt like they went to battle this year with not enough armor and were completely underfunded and completely undermanned in all those areas. They had some guys get hurt, but I'm just saying that's what they believe.
Yeah, and I've seen some comments from I don't know that I should share this. I've seen some comments from Keenan Hall on X that frustrated me about Tech buying their team. And Matt, that's not, the money thing isn't a good enough excuse for me to miss a bowl, to not just to underperform, Matt, but miss a bowl game. We can go back 15 years and talk about all the kids that came to Baylor as 2 or 3 star kids and wouldn't have been paid a lot in the current era and left as NFL players. My friend Terrence, Xavier Howard. If we go to the rule staff, there's dozens of them. Blake Lynch played 6 positions at Baylor, spent 5 years in the NFL as a linebacker because he was developed. James Lynch, 3-star, developed, like 3rd-round pick. Like all these kids, it's happened forever. And this staff, it's 6 years. Like kids have not come to Baylor and left as NFL players. And we can blame money, but I say it's a problem that goes before the money became a big deal. And if we blame the money, I would say, well, that might hold water for me if we won 7 or 8 games again, but we won 5. And I don't like it, dude. I don't like blaming the money thing.
James Lockhart was who I was trying to think of, earlier when I was thinking of that.
Oh, yeah, he was good.
2019. Yeah, when I'm struggling by that way, Scotty, that's my cry for help for you to come on with me and provide names for me rather than just let me wither on the vine. But no, James Lockhart, I think he was in like number 9. Yeah, he was just a big, tough guy. Who was the guy in the middle, though? You had Lockhart,
you're thinking of
Lynch, and then you had one of our
I can see his face.
Twitter or in the comments will say it.
I see his face.
I don't think he really made it in the NFL, but dang, he was a good college player. He was a monster, and he was just kind of low to the ground. Was not as tall. No. I love Apu, but Apu came later. This is pre-Apu. This was the nose tackle with Lynch and Lockhart.
Oh, Bravion Roy.
Yes, I love Bravion Roy.
Yeah, no. He played for the Panthers for a few years.
He did hang in there in the NFL for a little bit. I love Bravion. Yeah, and boy, the only reason Apu didn't make it in the NFL would have to be because of Apu, because in terms of like, it was not ability. That guy was built to be like an elite NFL player, and unfortunately, I think he always had some major maturity issues, and they got him headed in the right direction, but he would backtrack. And he probably just never could quite overcome all that. But God gave him more ability, speed, size than almost anybody I've seen at Baylor in about a 20-year period, especially the defensive line. But, there are, what I would do, and we need to take a quick break because we're getting ready for Ashley Hodge will be on with us. But, Scotty, I was just looking yesterday at I heard Dave Aranda say the other day, well, we didn't evaluate. We got to reevaluate how we evaluate. We got to look at everything. We got to be willing to think about how to lift, how to do this differently. And I just sat there and looked at Surratt and every one of those Indiana players that Signetti identified and brought with him. Some of them from JMU that he thought could play up. Okay. Some of them did have JMU backgrounds, but then some of those dudes, like even just from last season, like those this thought, well, it's hard to get these guys immediately. Oh, really? I mean, Texas Tech telegraphed what they were going to do. They said, we're gonna set records for spending on the portal, and they'll either make us look bad and dumb, or it'll make us look brilliant. Well, it made them look brilliant, and they hit on all these guys. So I'm with you, Scotty. I mean, Keenan, I like Keenan a lot, and I like Dallas a lot, but yeah, all this whatever. I mean, you gotta just kind of take your lumps when it's hard to get out there on. So, but I do think all I'm doing, Scotty, is I mean, whether or not anybody agrees with it, that's fine. But I'm just telling you, this staff feels like they went to battle and weren't funded. And how many of staff members will be back next year? Well, we're about to find out quickly, because Dave needs to get this thing together in the next couple of weeks. And then they got to be good in the portal. And the portal doesn't start January 2nd. The portal started the day after the season. Portal started about 3 months ago, by the way, with all the tampering that goes on with these things. And by the way, if you're not, I mean, it's like we go, oh, maybe Baylor will do it. But hey, Baylor needed to be scouting Texas State and North Texas and UTSA and Utah, like all that needed to be going on the entire season. And I'm sure Baylor has people assigned to that. But whatever they have done, it's not worked. They missed on too many people in the portal, and they've missed on too many people in these signing classes. All right. And so, but the portal is bigger than it's ever been. And people like Signetti and people like Tech, you go, Matt, they have all this money. Oh, really? Do you think they gave, the minute they hired Kurt Signetti, do you think Indiana handed him like, hey, Kurt, here's $15 million to go spend on the portal? No. This was not Texas Tech. This was freaking the Indiana Hoosiers. They said, Kurt, we can get you about $3 million. We get you about $3 million for this portal class. Do the best you can, and God love you. If you won 7 games, we'd be pretty proud of you here at Indiana Hoosiers. Oh, wait, we're in the playoff? Oh, my God. Now Kurt Signetti, as he deserves, is paid like one of the great coaches in the country. All right. Boy, thank you, Cherry Johnson, Siegmund James. We love you guys. Ascension Providence, C&B, Schmaltz's. Scotty, we got to do some Schmaltz trivia tomorrow. Cannot wait for that. Thank you, Brett Tolley, for what you do. One of the great sandwich shops in America. There they are, the Sandwich Shop. And by the way, welcome on Mission golf cars, not carts. Golf cars. I love it. And we'll talk about that a little bit later in the show. We will have Ashley Hodge, who's come straight over from covering the Baylor Bears. Let's get his take on how today's game went against a former NCAA tournament team, Norfolk State. He'll join us soon.